Hello, world. We are here, episode 10 of season 3 of the HoopTalk podcast. Back-to-back weeks. That's the first time we've done that in a while. So good work. Good work. We're here. Today, as I alluded to last week, we're going to talk about some of the young players who have been intriguing us this season, who have been impressive and whatnot. But before we get into that, there's been something I've wanted to get off my chest, and I haven't really been the most active in front of camera to really have the opportunity. It's been prevalent. I'm not going to say because of me, but my tweet slyly went viral, which is kind of surprising. I didn't expect that. But it's regarding the 65 game rule. A lot of controversy surrounding that, obviously, with Jokic due to miss a month. It kind of sparked the conversation up again, which once again wasn't the whole intention. I'm just gonna stick to basically how I felt when the rule got announced back 2 years ago now, maybe 3 years ago.
I think it was 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years. The rule's stupid. Like that's it. The rule is stupid. I don't agree with it. Some people are saying it's because now Jokic is gonna miss it. That now you don't agree. Didn't agree with it from the jump. I will say I do expect the rule to change for next season, and coincidence, I'll say. But I do think just looking at it from the standpoint of this is the same thing I've been saying for a while. There shouldn't be, if you play in the NBA, you should be eligible to win awards. Like that's it. If you play one singular game, a voter should be allowed to vote for you if they want. And to the people who are like, oh well, if a guy, and I've heard this reply a million times, because for whatever reason people think this only applies to the MVP award. To be honest, I could care less about the MVP. If Jokic plays 66 games and Shea plays 78, Shea's gonna win the MVP off availability anyway. Like voters always took into account availability. The only examples where like it was Bill Walton when he played like 58 games. Every other MVP played a lot of games anyway because voters always accounted for availability. Like the MVP award meant nothing to me in terms of the 65 game rule because there's been like an unwritten rule anyway. But when it comes to all NBA teams and whatever the case may be, you can't convince me that 72 games of Denny Avdia is better, more impactful over the course of a season than 63 games of Giannis. You just can't. And voters would know that. Voters, if they didn't have this nonsensical threshold, would apply common sense and would put Giannis on a second or third team or a first team, knowing that his 62 games are more valuable than lesser tiered players' 74 games. They knew that. That's why you go back in the 90s and you'll see Shaq making all NBA teams when he played 57 games or 51 games, or he would, because voters know what value is. They always accounted for games played anyway. If a guy played 75 games and another guy played 55 games and they were on equal level of impact over the course of a season, they would pick the one with 75 games because he was more available. They always did that. There was no need to add the rule to make it so now we just remove common sense from the equation. We can't look at it and say, Jokic only played 63 games, therefore we're just going to keep him off the team altogether. That doesn't, like, I feel like at some point we need, like, bring back common sense. I don't know. Bring back common sense. And then someone said, where does the number get too low? There needs to be a threshold. I don't agree. I don't think there needs to be a threshold. I think you leave it up to the people who are voting to decide a threshold for themselves. If there's a voter out there who thinks that 45 games of Jokic is enough to make an all-NBA third team, and then there's another voter who's like, Jokic didn't play enough, I'm not going to put him on the list. Cool, there's 100 votes. We'll see what they do. But having a threshold where you remove the opportunity for common sense is clearly worse to me than someone coming up to a conclusion by themselves. Like before, if someone plays one game, they should be allowed to get a vote for an MVP. No voter would ever do it. You could have Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game and then tear your Achilles. No one would vote you for MVP, but they should be allowed to. Why not? Let them. If someone decided they wanted to vote for that person, 5th place for MVP, let them. They'll never get it. They'll never come close to winning. If someone wanted to put them on all NBA first team, cool. They'll never get it. They'll never come close to making all NBA first team. Let the people do what they want to do. Let them vote. Like, I don't know. I stand with freedom. I don't know. Freedom of choice. Let people do what they want to do. all these adding thresholds and whatnot. Also, shout out to Real Talk. This is not me coming at Real Talk, but I saw him say a couple things. One of them was, for the people who don't care about accolades, why does this bother you? And it's not so much as like, oh, damn, Giannis ain't going to make an All-NBA team. His legacy is going to look worse. More so than I just think the rule is stupid. And if something's stupid to me, I'm going to say I think it's stupid. My opinion of Giannis is not going to change All-NBA or not. My opinion of Jokic is not going to change All-NBA or not. But I can say the reason this man didn't make All-NBA this year was a stupid reason. That's all it is. It's not me like, damn, I can't view Giannis in the same light now. He hasn't made All-NBA. That's not going to be what it is. So that's that addressed. I don't need to care about accolades in my evaluation of players to say the process of getting accolades is stupid. And then the other part was saying people have been asking for a criteria, and now they give you the most basic criteria that should be universally agreed upon, and people are complaining. I'm gonna just speak for myself. I can't speak for other people. I've never asked for a accolade criteria. What I've always said is these accolades aren't objective because there's no criteria. But I don't care that accolades aren't objective. That doesn't bother me. I just don't value them. But you can't make this objective. There's no, just because you have a 65 game threshold, you're not making it closer to being objective. You've now just attributed arbitrary value to this number of games. 65 games, oh, you're eligible. You play one less game, you're not eligible. And then they have the few caveats like, oh, well, if you had a season-ending injury at 62 games, you're eligible. Then I'll just say, okay, well, at 60 games, all of a sudden, arbitrarily, you're not eligible. So it hasn't really made it more objective insofar as just it's drawn the line somewhere, a line that didn't need to be drawn. So it just does. That's where I'm at. I feel like the rule is nonsense. It was added, in my opinion, to spite guys like Joel Embiid, Kawhi Leonard, guys who legitimately miss games because they can't play with they couldn't play with the level of consistency that other people did. But I have no problem if you go back through seasons where, especially when it was positional, where Shaq makes an All-NBA third team playing 51 games. Cool. I have no problem with Yao Ming making All-NBA in 07, playing 48 games when the other options are Marcus Camby. Like, what do you want me to do? Just, oh, yeah, let's give it to him. Shout out to Marcus Camby, good player. But no, like, Yao Ming in 48 games is better than him. So, like, just leave it up to the voters. Let them decide what they want to decide. Some voters are still going to go with the side of availability. They're going to choose their All-NBA teams. Some people might, Jokic, instead of making first team, might make second team for some people because he only played 58 games. Let them decide that for themselves instead of saying this guy is ineligible. So where I'm at, if the All-NBA team was up to me, 3 teams, 5 players each, positionless, no games threshold, that's it. Just 15 NBA players. Pretty simple. Same thing with all defense, 2 teams, maybe 3. Or maybe you had a third all defensive team. I wouldn't mind that. DPOY, same thing. Just vote for who you want to vote for. So, yeah, I'm glad I got that off my chest. That was 8 minutes of my 65 game rule rant. I've seen a lot of stuff going around about that. It's been annoying, I guess, to read. So
to make the clip 10 minutes, I'm gonna throw my little 15 cent in there. The 65 game rule doesn't really bother me just because it's like last year I know Donovan Mitchell wasn't all NBA first team caliber. So it's like I think what the worst part is the incentive of it. Like where it's like, oh yeah, all NBA team, you're eligible for Supermax or whatever that is. I'm not 100% sure if that's a thing, but I know like that's
it's tied to money in some way. Yeah, it's tied to money in some way.
And it's like that's where some people probably would go out there hurt, or guys starting games and then leaving right after. So I don't necessarily hate the 65 game rule. It's just maybe the incentives that come with it to where it's like, okay, now guys are forcing themselves out there so they can get a Supermax, or guys who aren't worthy of a Supermax got onto the All-NBA teams because certain guys didn't play 65 games. And now this guy is expecting a Supermax deal. Like, what if Denny Avdia went to Portland and said, I want $65 million a year? Like, that's where I can understand, like, okay, maybe this could be an issue. But yeah, the 65 game rule doesn't bother me as much because I don't really look into like the All-NBA teams as much. But as from a fan's perspective, though, so like it doesn't really bother me as much. Like, again, last year, I know Donovan Mitchell did not play as well to be all NBA first team, so it didn't really bother me. Like this year, yeah, it's going to suck that Wemby might not win Defensive Player of the Year again, even though he's been to the level of a Defensive Player of the Year for the past 3 seasons, but it is what it is. Like, he'll get one eventually. I know, like, the second he plays 65 games. But
at this rate, I don't know. Wemby
Yeah,
might
but-
retire with one all defensive team and all-star selections. They're gonna be the craziest gap between accolades and like actual
Play.
ability we've ever seen. So that could be interesting. I do 1000% agree with the it shouldn't be tied to money thing. I've been screaming that for a minute.
Yeah.
If a team wants to pay a player a supermax, if for whatever reason the Lakers wanted to give Bronny a supermax, they should be allowed to. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you should be able to offer anyone whatever you want to offer them. Obviously, up to like the max contract. That's where I kind of stand on that. But anyway, we do have a super chat before we get into
I'm
things.
actually really excited to talk about this super chat. So
shout out to Drink More Water, $20 super chat. He said, I was completely wrong about the Celtics heading into the season. They started the season 0-3 and have gone 22-9 since. What have they done differently to sustain their success? Mazzulla has gained a lot of respect from me. So what did you want to talk about with the Boston Celtics, Sean?
the Boston Celtics are looking like, one of the best franchises in the NBA, or the best franchise in basketball. With how much pieces they lost last year. Jason Tatum goes down to injury. They trade Kristaps Porzingis. They trade Drew Holiday. All these pieces in their roster that are just gone now. And now they bring in Jordan Walsh, who they drafted a few years ago, Hugo Gonzalez, that we're going to talk about. And now they're still competent, using pretty much the same philosophy that they've been using over the past few seasons. Peyton Pritchard coming in and playing the way he has. Derek White coming in and playing the way he has. Jaylen Brown, their finals MVP, coming in and looking like a top 10 to 15 player in basketball. Those are the things where I look at this Celtics team and just say, like, there's the difference between a good organization and a great organization, or one of the best organizations in basketball, to where they're going to make the right decisions when it comes to trades, free agency, draft picks. That's just, it's really something. It's really something to see in the way Jaylen Brown has played this season, the aggressiveness, getting to the basket, playing in the mid range, and having all that space around him to operate has been extremely impactful. So I really like what Boston has been doing this year. I'm going to be talking about Hugo Gonzalez in a second, since we're talking about young players, but I really like what Boston is doing. And right next year, once they get back healthy, and I believe they have some money and cap space to make some moves as well, they're going to be right back in like title contending tier. I don't think they'll be able to do it with this roster construction, but I think they could be right back in the middle of things next season.
Yeah, we had them as a playing team in our like a playoff caliber team, caliber team in our Eastern Conference power rankings. We had them like in that group with like Philly, and Milwaukee was the team that we ended up putting sixth, but we had Milwaukee in that group with them. So we were slightly off, I'll say. They slightly overperformed to this point. Shout out to the Raptors as well in the 4th spot. But I think the way they're doing it is, obviously sticking to the philosophy of the 3-ball. That's the pillar. But it's like, it's just a lot of stuff on the margins. Like, the offensive rebounding stuff has been huge for them. They play a very slow pace. So like they're limiting out transition opportunities for the other team and whatnot. Jaylen Brown becoming like the best mid-range scorer in the league, like outside of Shea, has been huge for them as like this release valve. Jaylen Brown has also just been, however good you thought Jaylen Brown was, he's probably better than that. Like, that's the best way I can put it. Ox notwithstanding. But like everyone else, like however good you thought Jaylen Brown was, like he's exceeded those expectations. Even if you were someone who like believed in Jaylen Brown's ability to be the focal point on the Celtics team in Jason Tatum's absence, he's probably exceeded your expectations. The scoring has been amazing. He's shooting the 3 at a really good clip. The mid-range, like I said, has been amazing. He's still able to just physically impose himself in a way that not many other people can. Derek White has been supremely impactful without actually having like the most efficient scoring season. So like if his shooting does revert to the mean, which it has been doing over the last like month or so, you're getting to the point where Derek White is back to like the role player all-star that he is. Not all NBA second team, but role player all-star Derek White. I'm going to save Hugo Gonzalez for you. But I think the most impressive thing is they're the second ranked offense in the NBA this year. I definitely didn't see that coming. My biggest concerns were with their obvious front court depth, and I still have that concern. That's why I don't think they're going to win in the postseason. But being able to win in the regular season is mightily impressive. I seen a stat. I can't remember where I saw it. And I think this is a big reason why they win. Well, it helps the margins. It said like the Celtics are like 4th in 3-point rate off their own offensive rebounds. And then they're like 27th at like the opposing team's 3-point rate off offensive rebounds. Basically means if they get an offensive rebound, they're getting the kick out threes, which are extremely valuable. But then they're also stopping the opposing team from getting kick out threes off their own offensive rebounds, which is like you're winning the margins essentially. It's like stuff like that. I think Joe Mazzulla, and I don't think it's much of a secret. He's very in tune with like the analytics, the margins, the offensive rebounding, the 3-pointers, all of that stuff that like sways games. And I think Boston leaning as far into that as possible while having a talent like Jaylen Brown, while having a guy like Derek White who can do so many things, Peyton Pritchard becoming one of the premier paint scorers in the NBA but can't buy a 3 this year. Just things going on. Yeah. Shout out to Boston, been mightily impressive. They just beat the Clippers last night. Jaylen Brown had 50. I'm hearing Jaylen Brown MVP buzz. Obviously, he's not going to win it. But I will say, he's making a strong All-NBA first-team case.
Yes, he is.
Yes, he is. All-NBA first-team case, obviously, with everything that's going on around the league in terms of injuries. Definitely making a strong fight for it. He's also been pushing for himself. He's been very vocal about how
he has every right to be.
And I've seen someone calling it cringe. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, like I don't think it's crazy to say, like, if it were me and people were saying a player that was better than me my entire career and I'm taking my team to be like a top 3 seed in the East, yeah, I'll be talking. Like, yo, I'm better than him.
Yeah, I respect Jaylen Brown, man. He called himself the best 2-way player in the game, I think, yesterday. He said he was the player of the month for December, even though Brunson won it. He's been very vocal about how good he believes he is, and whether or not you agree with him or not, he's doing his best to back up what he's saying. Now, I know some advanced stats aren't still favoring him. And to that, I would just say, watch the games. Come to your own conclusion. I know Ep.10 has Jaylen Brown in like the 30s in the NBA. Watch the games. Just watch the games, and you tell me if you think Jaylen Brown is in the 30s amongst NBA players this season. That's really it. But we'll stick to the Boston theme, talking about young players, 18 minutes in, finally onto the title of the show. You said you wanted to talk about Hugo Gonzalez, the Celtics rookie.
Yes, I do. Now, Hugo Gonzalez was somebody that I sprinkled into my draft board coming into the season, but it's not because I thought he was going to be a great defender. Wasn't because of that. I thought he was just a jumbo-sized player who can pass and put the ball on the floor in spurts, who was going to be really raw offensively, but had some real upside as a ball handler, playmaker, downhill guy. But this season, he's been fantastic on defense, averaging about 15 minutes per game. But when he's on the floor, they're a 105.8 defensive rating. Now, that's only in 300 minutes, so take that with a grain of salt. But there's a little something with Hugo Gonzalez that I like, where he's able to have or be in control of his balance, but also be able to absorb contact really well. There's multiple games against Indiana, against Detroit, where he's guarding Pascal Siakam, he's guarding Cade Cunningham, and he has such a nice space to where he's not getting knocked off balance, but he's also using his hands to deflect at the ball. And that gave Pascal some problems. That gave Cade some problems. And I just think that's been extremely impactful. Now, he does have a little bit of things on the defensive side of the floor where he can get lost in screens and he has to recover. But even then, I think he's not bad recovering to the basketball, where he can block jumpers or just use his hands to poke the ball free. I think he's only going to get better. And him playing the way that he is, and also the addition of Jordan Walsh, I really like them too. I don't know where I said it, but I know I had stock in Jordan Walsh somewhere. I'm gonna have to find that receipt. But I said it somewhere, whether it was TikTok, YouTube, somewhere. But I need to find that receipt. But I think Hugo Gonzalez is great. And he was a steal. Because coming into the season, I had Hugo Gonzalez like right outside the lottery. But he barely played in Real Madrid. His minutes were inconsistent. So the more that happened, the more I started dropping him further and further. But yeah, Hugo's been amazing. He's been amazing, and it's been what I didn't expect. I thought he would be raw offensively, but whole time he's been a really good defensive player.
Yeah, he's been a revelation defensively, alongside obviously Jordan Walsh getting a bigger role this year. I've seen that he's got one of the biggest net swings in the league this year. I believe it was actually a good friend of the show, Hoop Venue. It was his podcast, and they were talking about Hugo Gonzalez. Yeah, he has one of the biggest net swings this year per Data Baller. He has a plus 18 net swing. The Celtics are a plus 21.5 net rating with Hugo on the floor, and they're a plus 3.6 without him. One of the largest discrepancies in the league. Defensively, he's been huge, picking up guys full court, pressuring the ball, basically everything you alluded to. And this is all while not being a very good offensive player right now, but still finds in ways to impact the game while being just a high feel guy. So he's not bleeding a ton of value on offense, despite some of his limitations in terms of scoring and shooting and whatnot. But he still just does understand where to be positionally. You just got to ramp up some of the scoring aggression. Obviously, get defenses to actually respect you more on the outside. That stuff will come with time. But I think Hugo Gonzalez, like you said, is still late first round pick, right? Late first round
pick. Yeah,
late first round pick. I didn't foresee this. I wasn't the most tapped in, but from what I knew about him, I thought he was more of the pure point guard type, not the I'm one of the best guard defenders from day one type. But that's what he's become, or that's what he always was, and I was just not tapped in. I might have just been out the loop, but yeah, he's been amazing, and I wanted to give him his flowers alongside Jordan Walsh, a young player finally getting his recognition. But sticking on the defensive theme, there's these two players. They're on the same team. One's a second-year player, one's a third-year player. I want to talk about both of them. I'm actually curious. Do you have any idea who I may be talking about? A defensive
duo, second-year player, third-year player. Okay, so we got somebody from the 24 draft. First round?
Both first rounds. Both of them were first round.
Both first rounds. Okay.
I believe both of them were the same pick in the drafts, but
both of them were the same pick in the draft. So who had back-to-back same picks in the draft? Second-year player. If we look at yeah, I'm not going to sit here for 30 years. Go ahead.
Someone in the chat got it. Ryan again.
Oh, yeah. That was right there.
Ausar and Ron Holland. I believe they were both the fifth pick. I'm going to start with Ron Holland because he is the sophomore. I was really high on him coming into the draft. Really high. I had him as my number one pick. That's how high I was on him. And I just thought, I thought the motor was ridiculous, the athleticism, and the jump shot was projectable. Like I had more reason to believe in that than like an Ausar, for example. Alongside just the relentlessness downhill, I like the physical tools, the motor, the defensive upsides. But he has been, and I mean this wholeheartedly, he's been an all-league defensive caliber wing this year. Like, that's how amazing he's been. I could argue in certain matchups, he's actually better than Ausar. Not all of them, but in certain matchups where he can impose himself physically, really get into ball handlers, I think he does those things better than Ausar. He's been amazing. His impact, when those two are on the floor, Detroit's Pistons, their defense is hell. Now, obviously, the elephant in the room, neither one of them can shoot at all. Not even come close. Not even come close to looking like they might potentially be close one day to being able to shoot. That's how far away they are, quite frankly, from being viable threats out there. But in my opinion, it is in Detroit's best interest to have both of them on the floor as much as possible. For reference, very small sample size, 131 minutes across the whole season. These two on the floor have a plus 22 net rating. That's how impressive it's been. And to make it even worse, that's a plus 22 net rating with an offense that's 2 points below league average. That is how dominant those two have been defensively on the same team. Their defensive rating on the minutes they share the court is 91.8. I'm going to repeat that. 91.8 is their defensive rating when Ausar Thompson and Ron Holland are on the floor together. I believe Ausar Thompson is the best wing defender in the NBA. That's my opinion. His ability on the ball is second to no one. The lateral quickness, the mobility, the way he can fly through screens, the way he can make plays away from the ball, the way he can recover. To me, he's a perfect wing defender in the modern game. I have no issues, but bar some foul problems. That's it. Ron Holland, his on-ball defense, the way he can hound ball handlers, his physicality, also alongside some foul problems. But he is deadly at the point of attack. Their athleticism on the wing, very, very special. Now, shout out to Fred Vincent, fan. I was actually going to talk about Fred Vincent. The Pistons brought him in to be their shooting guru. He obviously did some crazy things for Brandon Ingram and Lonzo Ball back in New Orleans. If he can rectify Ausar and Ron Holland's jump shot to where they are just serviceable, they're never going to command respect. We can call a spade a spade. They're always going to be given the fake shooter label. They're going to, like, even if they get to 38%, teams aren't going to guard them. But they don't need to be guarded. They just need to be able to make the shots. If they can make the shots, they will start for a very long time, hopefully on the Pistons. And the Pistons can have a defensive dynasty with Ausar, Ron Holland, Beef Stew, Jalen Duren coming along, Cade being a defensive positive at the guard position with all that he does. The Pistons are set up for something really, really good. I think they're a top 2 defense already right now. I want to check. I don't want to lie to the people. Yeah, they are the second-ranked defense in the league. Very distant to OKC, obviously, but second-ranked defense in the NBA. And quite frankly, it's special. Now, obviously, the downside, and I will say I'm more concerned with Ausar because the offense just seems so far away. The shooting is so far away. I don't want to do the thing where you just compare him to a men all the time. But at least the men is like making free throws.
Yeah, like, and it's like his touch around.
I believe. Yeah, so let me just say, a man is at 80% from the line. That's an indicator of something. Ausar Thompson this year is at 54.9% from the line. Last year he was at 64%. His rookie year he was at 60%. Obviously, the 3-point percentage has been egregious the whole time. The 3-point volume keeps going down. We're getting to a point where it's bad. So we'll just call it. I don't think it's ever going to become serviceable. But if you can find a way, and I don't know if JB Bickerstaff has managed to do that. That's why I think Ausar's minutes have been fluctuating. But if you can find a way to make him viable on offense, whether that's roaming the baseline, whether that's him being a screener in the half court, whether that's trusting him to initiate more offense and get Cade off the ball, you need this guy out on the floor. You need him out on the floor. You need Ron Holland on the floor. Because quite frankly, I think these two are very game-changing defenders. And I think it's in Detroit's best interest long-term to have both of them on the floor. But let's move on from some of the defensive guys. And let's talk about some offensive guys. You have a couple that you wanted to talk about. I'm going to let you take your pick. Who would you like to talk about?
I'm going to go with Tre Johnson, but I'm also going to talk about some of the Wizards' young core. Tre Johnson, coming into the season, I had him as a top 3 scorer in this draft class, just with his ability to play off the ball and his passing, his scoring out of the pick and roll, and how good of a shooter he was in college. And this year he's brought the shooting like directly over, being able to be used in pin downs and having the range that he has as a shooter. I think he's been really good offensively, especially as like an off-ball player. The only issues I would have is just like his on-ball creation. I still have questions with, which is something I had questions with coming into the season. That's why I thought Khan was better than him. People thought I was crazy for that for some reason, but just with his frame and how like small he is, it's just going to be hard for him to really absorb contact, getting downhill and fighting through like congested lanes that you're going to have in Washington. So that's one of the problems I have with him, and his defense just has not come along. But as an offensive player and as like a guy that can be like a microwave scorer, somebody that can come off pin downs, hit shots from deep, be a really good off-ball player, I think he can be really good in that term. For example, like, if you guys watch Duke, if anybody watches Duke, think of Isaiah Evans. Isaiah Evans is somebody that can come in and he can knock down 6 straight threes and not touch the ball or not dribble the ball. So it's like, I think Tre Johnson has a little bit of, or I think Isaiah Evans has a little bit of Tre Johnson in them when they like play off the ball and with the range that they have. But I still think he has a ways to go, but I do think he's intriguing with how much they've been using him in action. Now, as for Alex Sarr, I think he's gotten a lot better with his physicality and ball handling. This season, he's gone up from 69% in the restricted area up to 77, I believe. He's been much more efficient around the rim, just being more aggressive and getting to the free throw line just a little bit more. Those have been my issues with him, just the physicality and just the refinement on offense. And then as a defender, he's one of the best shot blockers in basketball, in my opinion. I think he's really good defensively. And then Keyonte George. Keyonte George has just been taking much more of an more on-ball reps this season. That can prove with his turnovers increasing, but his assist also increased. He's gotten a lot better as a three-point shooter as well, whether it's operating out of DHO or pick and roll. And he's also a really good point of attack defender, just guarding the ball as well as he does. I've seen some minutes of him against Brunson where he looked pretty good. So yeah, I really like these three on the Wizards. I really like these three. If you can get Bilal and Bub out of there, we'll be all right. But other than that, I think these three have some real potential for this Washington Wizards team. And I'm gonna just say this, I sprinkled this in on Twitter just in case if things went well. This might be the last year of the Wizards rebuild. This might be. If they get a top three pick,
that's a big if. Yeah, but that is what it will require.
If they get a top 3 pick, I would start going to get some good basketball players on this team. Like, okay, you got Chris Mitty. He does his thing every now and then. CJ, they do their thing every now and then. But I'm talking about some guys that are like guys, like some guys that can come in, like a Keon Ellis. Like, I try to get some good players if I get a Cam Boozer, if I get an AJ DeBonsta. Let's go get some good players. And let's try and see what we got here, because we got our pieces now. We got Tre, Alexar, Keyshawn, one of the three. Yeah, as long as Bub and Bilal, because I don't love Bub. He's not the best of a decision maker. And then Bilal, the offense is really concerning. Like, the athleticism and the defense, solid. But I'm just not high on Bilal or Bub. But the three, Tre, Keyshawn, and Alexar, I'm fairly higher on them.
Bub's shooting the hell out the three this year, so I'll give him that. But unfortunately, I just don't think his body is maturing. He's only in year 2, so I'm not. But he's also not a point guard. I'm hell bent on that. He's definitely not a point guard. But yeah, I want to stick on Tre Johnson for a while. Yeah, the shooting is evident. The confidence, the range, the quick release, the quick trigger. I seen recently he said he's a better shooter than Steph. So confidence is definitely through the roof. I wanted to ask you, is he? Because I know most people will say Con is the best shooting rookie, and I'm not saying that's wrong. Is Tre Johnson in range? Is he close to him? Is he better than him? Can't hear you, but I heard you say I think so.
I think they're in the same tier. Like, I would prefer. Coming in, I had Tre Johnson as a better shooter just because I think he can get his shot off a little quicker. But I think Con's a better shooter off the dribble. Now, the stats may not back me up on that, but from what I've seen, I think Con may be a little better off the dribble. But I'm actually gonna go Con. I think Con's the better shooter.
I'm gonna just say real quick base numbers. I think Con is shooting 48% on his 2-point jumpers, 42% on his threes. Tre Johnson was 45% on his 2-point jumpers, 41% on his threes, both at 88% from the line. Like, we're talking thin margins. I'll just say that. Con's volume is obviously through the roof. The guy's averaging 19. Tre Johnson, I want to say, is averaging like 12.
Yeah, he's averaging like 12 a game. Shooting 40. I don't know if it's 40 anymore, but
I believe
you just said 40. Yeah.
I believe it's 41. Tre Johnson this year on his off the dribble 2s from jump shots, 44%. Off the dribble 3s is 39.5%, which is mightily impressive. 40% on pull up 3s, insane. Yeah. Concanipple this year on his pull up 3s, he is shooting 45%. Jesus Christ. And 48% on his off the dribble 2s. And it's crazy because at Duke, I wasn't the highest on Con's off the dribble 3-point shooting, but obviously he's made a focal point. And I do believe Con is the best shooter of the rookie class. But I do think Tre Johnson is an elite shooter in his own right, which is all I was really trying to illustrate. We're not going to talk a whole lot about Conker because I think everything that can be said about Conker has been said. Same thing kind of with Cooper Flag. Like these guys been spoken about till the ends of the earth. So I want to talk about another offensively inclined player. This is someone you wanted to talk about, so I think we're going to be on the same page. Derik Queen. This is someone who you was very high on in the draft process. Very high on.
I actually wasn't. Derik Queen was the guy.
It was the flip. It was the flip. Yeah, I knew you was somewhere on Derik Queen. I can't remember. It was very high on a very.
Yeah, I was really low on Derik Queen,
and I'm assuming it's for the same reasons I was low on Derik Queen, and it's just about like the fit NBA wise, like how you use them.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I still do have those hesitations, but the skill set is just so.
It's undeniable. Like you can't.
Yeah, he's so. I hope it doesn't pan out. I'm not preying on a player's downfall or whatever, but he might eventually be one of those players where it's like he's a better basketball player than his NBA standing. Like we'll say he is. Like you'll have Spreadsheet FC will be like insert X rim running big is better than Derik Queen because he does more championship winning things. And
like, he
at the end of the day, we know Derik Queen's better than them. Yeah, it's like Ryan Kalkbrenner is actually better than Derik
Queen.
Right,
his drop coverage is better, but we just saw Derik Queen a spin fade.
So it's like I have a feeling, but I think that is a possibility with obviously Derik Queen's defensive shortcomings, and just like his tweener size and whatever. But to praise Derik Queen, he reminds me a lot of Alperen Şengün. I say that every time I talk about him. Those two are like the two main bigs who I see with this driving ability, from the outside, initiating out there, really looking like big wings. Really gifted passer, really willing passer, able to counter with spins and bump fades and all of this unique stuff where he can get to a floater and all of this crazy unorthodox movements. And he's just extremely gifted. And you've seen it in like the games where he has triple doubles or he has 24 and 8 or whatever the case may be. The skill set is very intriguing. And I think with New Orleans having Zion back, and Zion's looking like Zion, by the way. Just saying, Zion looking like Zion. Alongside Trey Murphy, alongside a healthy Herb Jones, with now Derik Queen. They obviously don't have their pick this year, so they're still going to suck for the rest of the year. And unfortunately, Atlanta's going to get that. But I do think there is something there when you have a guy like Zion, you have Derik Queen's skill set, two of the more unique skill sets in the league. You then have a big wing with Trey Murphy. You have a defensive guy who hasn't been as great defensively this year, but still Herb Jones, we know his reputation. I think New Orleans are building something. I think Derik Queen is a huge part of that. There's obviously concerns defensively with him, with Zion, with Trey Murphy. When your three best players are as bad defensively as those three are, it's probably a ceiling. But in terms of like how fun it can be offensively when maximized, when you can run offense, you can run inverted pick and roll with Derik Queen and Zion. You can run, which one's even the inverted pick and roll? Both, it will be inverted both ways. Like the uniqueness of their skill sets. Like I'm very intrigued to see what New Orleans does in the future. So yeah, I enjoy watching Pelicans games. I'll say that. I enjoy watching Pelicans games. What would you like to say about Derik Queen?
I think he's a much better passer than how long he's been in the NBA. Like with his ability to make lob passes, bounce passes, just making like very accurate passes, whether it's down low design or kick out passes. And it feels like in some possessions, he's literally like a step ahead of the defense to where it's like, okay, I have this mismatch. I know he's about to drag in to try and defend me at the rim. So I'm going to make the skip pass the second he hesitates away from the guy in the corner. Those type of reads are things that like we don't see a lot of rookies do. And on top of being able to drive that the way that he does, like you said, some of my concerns with Derik Queen was never the talent. Like I always said, like Derik Queen's talent is undeniable, but it's just like in the NBA, being 6'9" at a center position where you're not as mobile, you're not as athletic on the defensive side of the floor, that could be an issue. But offensively, it seems like he has the potential to maybe like really like put some of those issues on the back burner just a little bit with his driving ability and with his strength translating as well. Like him being a true downhill mismatch attacking center that can make reads, can grab and go, can make simple passes in transition or simple passes in the half court, or even make more advanced ones in spurts as well. So yeah, I was completely wrong about Derik Queen. And I definitely like just overthought it. Like I think I was just overthinking. Like some of these prospects, I'm like, hey, there's a few prospects in this draft I'm not as high on that I'm probably just overthinking. Caleb Wilson, but there are a few that I'm a little, but I think Derik Queen has been great. He's been great this year, and I was definitely wrong about him.
Yeah, and sticking to the Pelicans, they obviously got Jeremiah Fears. The talent is evident. He's also just not that good right now. But like the speed is that's the first thing I noticed when you watch Jeremiah Fears. The speed is ridiculous in the open court, whether he has the ball or not. He's one of the fastest players in the NBA. The handle is elite. He's able to be very creative, counters, but quite frankly, the scoring is questionable to say the least. The outside shot, the concerns that you had from him in college are still there. The rim finishing, the fact that he's struggling just finishing over this length is tough. And defensively, he's been egregious. But the flashes are there, and he is young. I think he's 19. So obviously, you buy into the potential. You continue to hone and develop it. Because I do see the upside for Jeremiah Fears to be one of the more dynamic guards in the NBA. If I was his training staff or whatever, I would be telling him to watch a hell of a lot of Keyonte George. And I think that's a leapfrog to talk about Keyonte George.
Yes, it is.
So go ahead. Talk to me about Keyonte George.
Keyonte George. He's been great this year. I think he's averaging about 24 points per game. His catch and shoot numbers have skyrocketed. The ability to score with the ball, putting the ball on the floor, or just having actions ran for him where he can come off screens and just shoot and be extremely efficient from there as well. He's been great this year. I heard somebody say that he was the best player on the Jazz. I wouldn't take it that far, but he's
definitely not. But he's definitely their second best player.
Definitely he's been fantastic, and this gives the Jazz something to be excited about, because I haven't been too high on a lot of the Jazz's young core. I haven't been as high on them as like Cody Williams, Isaiah Collier, I'm Walker Kessler, future Laker though. So it's like so this definitely gives something for Utah to be excited about, instead of being like, oh yeah, AJ DeBonce is going to BYU, we got ties there. But I think Keyonte definitely gives this Utah team something to be extremely excited about. And it's like, if he can continue to do that with how he's playing and how good he's been able to shoot the ball, I would say like you have a guy, at least. You have a guy in a team where it's like, we don't really know how much we truly have here. And I think we saw the signs with him, like just the ability to create on the ball, the ability to make difficult shots. Like there was that one year in Summer League where he was playing really well. I think that was his rookie year where he had a couple of really good games in Summer League. And that I was taking the overs on him in Summer League. But yeah, Keyonte George is really good. He's really good.
Yeah, I can't remember. Was it a summer league or a preseason? Maybe last year. And because this is the thing, Keyonte is a weird player, because his rookie year I was really high on him, and the efficiency was egregious. But he carried his confidence from Baylor. The shot making was very apparent. And I saw them use him as a point guard, which is definitely not what I expected based on his year at Baylor. And I saw he looked not comfortable, but it looked projectable. And then last year was a lot of stagnation and a lot of the same flaws. And I was like, I don't know where I see this going. But then I saw the summer league or the preseason. I can't remember what it was. And he came in and he was aggressive downhill. He was getting to the free throw line a hell of a lot. Physically imposing, using his strength, using the fact that he is a big guard to his advantage. And he was averaging like 9-10 free throws a game. I want to say it was summer league, but I can't remember which one. And I thought, okay, there's something to go with that. And this year, that's finally translated into the regular season. He's shooting 7 free throws a game. it's like he now understands how to use his body to his advantage, and that's just helped him tenfold in terms of his 2-point scoring. This is someone who rookie year 46% from two, last year 45%, this year approaching 51%, alongside increasing his free throw rate drastically. Also shooting 9% from the line, which helps. Just being able to just improve in that way while being someone who is a very audacious shooter. Like you said, he's elite on the catch and shoot, 41%. 32% on pull-up threes, but still the confidence is there. And that's what one thing I always said about Keyonte is, despite what the percentages say, like his first 2 years combined is about 34% from three, but he got guarded like a shooter. And a large part of that is because of his audacity. The fact that he's willing to shoot anytime you're playing a deep drop in pick and roll. The fact that his range extends as far as it does. If defenses respect you as a shooter, the things that open up mean so much more than someone who shoots a better percentage, but teams don't respect. And I think Keyonte being able to not only now be an efficient 3-point shooter with his shot quality, alongside the 2-point scoring, he's growing into one of the high-level young guards in this league. Now, the elephant in the room, one of the worst defenders in the NBA. Not a single redeeming quality on that side of the ball. Not one. And we are seeing, obviously, all the rumors about what Tre Young's value is in the league, and to a lesser extent, a Luka Doncic, and what can you do with X player who is terrible on defense, who you have to hide? Can you build X team around them? That's the question Keyonte is going to have to answer. Can he buy in defensively? Can he be competent within a team scheme? Because if not, there's always going to be the people who say you can't win with this guy in the playoffs, especially when he's not a Jalen Brunson offensively or Luka Doncic offensively. There's always going to be the detractors who say, yeah, he's good on offense, but his ceiling is going to be sixth man on a championship team because of the defense. So that's obviously going to be the question for him. Hopefully he can figure it out. But offensively, yeah, he's been amazing. Like you said, 24 points per game this year. Relatively good efficiency. I don't know if he's actually like positive or whatnot. 61 true shooting, so about +3. So yeah, shout out to Keyonte George, shout out to the Jazz. Definitely the brightest prospect on their roster right now. Yeah, definitely the brightest prospect on their roster. We do have a super chat from DSG Piccolo, resident Blazers fan. He said Klingen's been kind of hooping, the three ball's been falling. O-board demon, still need him near the rim, improve that block work. Yang is the worst in the NBA. There's actually a couple Portland players I wanted to talk about, and one of them was Donovan Clingan, so I'll start with him. The rim protection is still obviously second to none of, well, not second to none literally, but like amazing. The offensive I think he's leading the league in offensive rebounds. I think he's like 4.5.
He's top 3. He's definitely, because it's like
sure.
what him, Mitch,
Steven Adams.
Yeah,
Mitch Robinson. I don't know if he plays enough, but like rebound rate for sure. Mitchell Robinson. He's amazing, and he's in that. He's still at the point where he can't play heavy minutes. He's still like hovering right around 25 minutes. The conditioning, I guess, is still not there, which is understandable. He's 7'2". It's kind of hard to lug that big frame around all the time. But yeah, the offensive rebounding is amazing. The rim protection is amazing. The touch is still not great. He's a good passer. I would like to see them use him a bit more as a hub. But he definitely does impact the game. Paint to paint. That's what he is. He's paint on defense, paint on offense. He's very impactful on both sides of the ball. You do like that he's beginning where he's attempting to expand his game. I do think he's going to be one of those bigs where he's going to make a three every now and then, but no one's really going to guard it out there. Like no one's going to run Donovan Clingan off the line. So it's like it's a cool thing to have, but it's never going to really be a needle mover. But I think it's no surprise. The young player in Portland I really want to talk about, Shaedon Sharpe. Now, he started the season terribly from three. Like, it was bad. Like, there was no sugarcoating. It was atrocious. And then he had I believe it was a calf injury. Missed some time. Came back on a minutes restriction. But the last month or so, San Antonio game notwithstanding, he just went like 3 for 16. We'll take that. Who cares? The last month or so, we are seeing him shoot 42% from three. So 15 games, Portland went 7 and 8 in that stretch. He's shooting 42% from three, averaging 23 points per game. The scoring potential is so evident. He's one of the best finishers as a two guard in the league with his touch, his athleticism, his explosiveness. He's comfortable in the mid-range, getting to spots and rising up. He's not the greatest, but he is comfortable. And then obviously if he's making threes at a high clip, you do have this like potential 3-level scorer who's able to go off for 30, 35 on any given night. The issue with a guy like Shaedon Sharpe is like the complementary skills just don't exist. He's improved defensively, but the decision-making and playmaking still lags very far behind like his elite two-guard contemporaries, the Anthony Edwards, the Donovan Mitchells, the Devin Bookers, even a Jaylen Brown at this point, where he starts to fit more into the Zach LaVine category. And Zach LaVine has been, in terms of the impact metrics, damaging for a while. So you don't want that to be Shaedon Sharpe's trajectory, obviously, with the skill set. So I do think he needs to improve his decision-making. I think that would open up his scoring as well, because teams at this point know that he's not comfortable making so many reads out of pick and roll and whatnot, that it can kind of force him into tunnels and into areas that basically force him into turnovers. But the upside is still clear. He is 22, and he's averaging 22 over the last month on relatively good efficiency. Alongside obviously the athletic tools. So I do think Klingon, Shaedon Sharpe, very intriguing young players. Not to disrespect Hansen Yang, but
boo-boo.
Yeah, it's just he's a rookie. 2 years away from being 2 years away, you know, that's the kind of yeah, it's rough for him. Shout out to Caleb Love as well.
Yeah,
wasn't good to start the year, but he's been really picking up recently. So yeah, shout out to Caleb Love, but I think that pretty much covers the Blazers. Who would you want to talk about next?
I don't necessarily want to talk. I want to talk about some situations, but like draft situations. So young players, draft situations, kind of like that. Because I know we all know OKC has like 4 first-round picks this year. And I also want to tell you, do not forget about Thomas Sorber. Please don't forget about Thomas Sorber. Everybody in the chat, do not forget about him because he's going to pop up next year or the year after and be like, where'd this guy come from? No, he's really good. Thomas Sorber is really good as a rebounder, one of the best drop coverage prospects I've seen in a while. He's really disciplined there, knows how to protect the rim without fouling, goes straight up. I really like Thomas Sorber. And he's Isaiah Hartenstein's replacement. Like, we can see it. Like, when these guys get drafted to OKC, like, we can see who they're replacing. Like, for example, there are a couple of prospects I look at in this draft board that I like in OKC. I like Isaiah Evans in OKC. That's Isaiah Joe's replacement. Same name. Tunde Yesufu. That's Lou Dort's replacement. Big, bulky guard who can guard, has a decent mid-range shot. We're working on the on-ball game. I don't think it's ever really going to get there. But in high school, he was used as like a roll man. Like he was the pick and roll guy. Like he was rolling to the basket. And that really has helped him being able to cut to the basket, finishing around the rim. Really like Tunde Yesufu. There's one guy I don't want OKC to get at all. And he plays in Kentucky. His name's Jaden Quaitons. Don't want OKC to get him at all. Don't want OKC to get him at all. I love Jaden Quaitons. He's this close to being my guy. I haven't found a guy yet because in the end of the day, if I would have seen Kaman play a little bit more this season, or if I get to see Kaman play a little bit more this year, it would be easier to pick a guy. But he might be my guy. Jaden might be my guy. And I think OKC's the perfect situation for him too. But I really hope he doesn't go there. A few more players. Braylon Mullins is a guy that I think could play well in OKC. He's a really good off-ball player, really good off-ball shooter. He has some really good passing chops as well. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about that because they have 4 first-round picks. I don't think they're going to use all of them. Like they're probably going to use 2 of them and trade some of these for like future first. But there are a lot of guys that OKC could use. Oh, Kareem Lopez. Really like Kareem Lopez. He's extremely athletic, 6'9", off-ball scorer, can drive a closeout, finish around the rim, can knock down a shot. I think he plays in, I forget where he plays.
Australia? Is he one playing on Australia? or New
I
Zealand.
think it's one of those. It's overseas. I'm forgetting where it is, but Kareem is nice. I like Kareem Lopez. And then another guy, most obvious Celtic of all time, Hans Steinbeck. If the Celtics can get him, I think he's a Celtic. I think he's the most obvious Celtic of all time. He has some on-ball chops, like he can do a little grab and go. He can knock down an open three, but the offensive rebounding is where it's like that's what takes the cake. It's just so many scoring possessions he can get off offensive rebounds. I think he averages maybe like 5 offensive rebounds a game on like 12 and a half rebounds a game, period. Yeah, I wanted to talk about that, just the some of the draft fits that I find really intriguing. I know you don't like be fully locked into the draft this early into the season. Do you have some early draft fits that off the top of your head you would like?
Well, excluding obviously, I want to see Darren Peterson in Washington, excluding like the obvious ones. Jaden Quaintance was one he was drafted ineligible last year. He was too young.
Yeah, he was too young. Yeah.
So he's a 18-year-old sophomore.
18. Yeah.
His defensive tools are insane.
Like, bro.
That's ridiculous. I've been tapped in here and there to certain guard prospects. Phylon, I think his name is very intriguing to me.
LeBaron, yeah, I like him.
But the guy I'm most intrigued by, and I've been intrigued for a while, is Kingston Flemings. He's at Houston right now. His combination of like speed, handle, shooting, very, very intriguing from a guard prospect. He's also he seems to be a high IQ guy. Now, do I know where I want him to go? Not really.
I'd love him.
But I do. I am very intrigued by how he projects at the next level. I do think he needs to get stronger, fill out his frame a bit more. But the skill set, it's mainly the speed and the handle that's intriguing me. Alongside shooting, but I don't know why he's still shooting from 3. Early on, he was shooting like 40 something crazy. So let's see, Kingston.
Yeah, I can give you like the eye test. I really do not.
Yeah, 44% from 3 still. Averaging 16 and 5. It's just the 3-point shot alongside, once again, the speed to get downhill, the feel for the game. Defensively, he's not the greatest, but he is able to get a lot of steals. That means a lot to me. 3 shots. Good work. Alongside good positional size, 6'3", 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah, I'm leaning on like maybe the 6'4". I don't really like buy too much into measurements until the combine though, because
I'll say, look, 6'4" guards, 6'1.5". Yeah,
right. Cooper Ace Bailey 6'10", 6'7". Okay.
But yeah, he's definitely been one of my more one I'm definitely more tapped into. But I always say draft time doesn't start for me until like April, May. Like right now, we're in everything Kambuza does, everything AJ does, everything Darren Peterson does. I'm gonna be tapped in. I'm gonna be looking. I'm gonna be watching the film. Caleb Wilson, like I watch him. On the other side, you got Nate Ament, who has been. Like,
oh my God! Don't get me started, because
he's like the opposite of kind of just
because
he was like projected top 5.
I had him at 4. He didn't fell out my top 15. I'm like, look, bro, you can't create on the ball when you're over like your last 13 games. You're shooting 32% from the field. I can't with Nate right now. I can't, and it's like I thought it's like, okay, I see the ball handling issue, I see the size issue, but it's like he can get there. He just has not shown like the real upside that I've needed from him. Now he does have some type of passing chops. I believe he played point guard in high school, to where like you can see some of the vision when he passes and stuff like that. But he just can't get anywhere on the ball. And then it's like he hasn't been shooting the ball well lately. Like I believe in the upside as like a off the ball scorer, but right now I'm not as high on him. But the point guards in this draft, though, on a better note, fantastic. I've been like juggling around, like 1 minute, Labyrinth Phelan, Kingston Fleming, I really like Darius Acuff. I wouldn't have him at my first or second spot, but I really like Darius Acuff. There's Mikael Brown, who I was high on. I'm still high on, but I don't know if he's like my for sure number one point guard. And then we got some guys like Christian Anderson from Texas Tech, who I really like. Yep, exactly. And then what's his name from Illinois? I don't think he's a point guard, but he does. I think it's like Keaton Wagler. Keaton Wagler from Illinois, who I might actually go see in person. It depends if I want to take that drive. But he's really nice. He's really nice. I like this guard draft class, man. And yeah, it's gonna be fun covering the draft this year. It's already been really fun, but it's gonna get even better because yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Can't wait to really get entrenched. And then watch players for 2 months and then act like I know everything about them because that's what you do. I've been reading the chat. They want me to talk about Tyrese Maxey.
Oh, do your thing. Yeah, because
I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what people want me to say about Tyrese Maxey. He's been amazing this season. I've given him his praise, like I said. One of the most dangerous transition guards in the NBA. The shooting plus speed combination is a rare combination that makes him borderline impossible to stop, especially when you give him an advantage, whether that is a DHO, whether that's a pick and roll. You give him an inch of daylight and he's able to just make the most of those situations routinely. When your range extends as far as his does, when you're as relentless downhill, when you have the floater that you can get to at any time, when you're able to finish same hand, same leg, which is ridiculous, by the way, with the proficiency he does it. And he's averaging 31, 32.
I think it's 32. But I think he's like third in the league in points per game or fourth.
31.1. See, come on, man. I just know. Come on. And I'll keep saying it. The most impressive thing to me, he's leading the league in minutes. He's doing this playing 40 minutes a game. The Sixers need everything he is providing for them this season as Joel Embiid rounds into form, as you get Paul George ramping up. Obviously, Kelly Oubre is coming back at some point. He's giving them everything he can on a game-to-game basis. I think he's only missed 1 or 2 games with the illness in like the past few weeks. Like he missed the Hawks game, and I think he missed the game before that with an illness. But other than that, he's been available every night, giving you 30. Against the Knicks last night, I think he had 35. He's just been spectacular. And I think he's been spectacular in spite of some heinous coaching decisions that come down the stretch of game. Like, I'm going to be honest, I don't understand the strategy of just let him cook offense that the Sixers seem to go to down the stretch of games. You see Tyrese Maxey thrive of DHOs, of pushing the pace for the first 3 quarters. And then the 4th quarter comes, clutch time comes, and you say, hey, get out of the mud.
I know all about let him cook offense.
Like, I don't, that makes no sense to me. I feel like that's sabotage. And Maxey still being able to thrive in those conditions, obviously not knowing when Joel is going to be playing or not playing, changing your role on a whim, knowing when you have to be more aggressive when Joel's not out there or he doesn't have it that night, and then being able to taper back when Joel does have it going and he's able to command double teams and you're able to play off of that, and now you're making 7 threes because you're getting open looks. Like, that malleability is amazing. That's why I think Tyrese Maxey has the skill set to be one of the best complementary players in the NBA. Now, and some people might hear that and accuse me once again of hating because I don't think he's a 1A superstar, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I don't know. But his ability to play off of other people alongside being able to do what he does, that's what makes him special to me. Alongside the fact that he's been competing on defense. When you're playing that many minutes, have that heavy of a burden, and you're competing at this level on defense, getting steals. He's met a couple people at the rim, getting blocks. I have nothing to say. He's been great. Like, but yeah.
I will say this.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm a hater, I guess. I don't know.
This is just about the 76ers in total, because I got ties over there with my boy, but it hasn't been looking great for him.
Yeah,
once he gets traded, we'll be back on the market. But I think the Philadelphia 76ers, like, if you catch them on the wrong stretch, like, they can come out the East. Like 100% they can come out the East. I really think like if they
is looking better each game. I'm just saying.
I truly think like with their offensive ceiling, like if you catch them where PG's knocking down his threes or his sidestep mid-range shots, Joel Embiid is just getting to the free throw line, knocking down his mid-range, and then Tyrese Maxey just wants to get downhill consistently, play in the DHO game, and God forbid Jared McCain gets any type of action ran for him and he's not just stuck in the corner and VJ wants to be who VJ is. I think the Sixers can beat a lot of teams in the East. It just depends on, one, health, two, how will some of these guys play when it comes postseason? How will Embiid feel come postseason? What does Paul George look like? How the defense is going to be? Those are some of the things where I just have like a little bit of questions. But I think Philly has one of the highest ceilings in the Eastern Conference, especially with all that shooting and ball handling that they have. I think Philly could be like a real dark horse contender out of the Eastern Conference, but I wouldn't pick them because for some reason, maybe I'm wrong. I still have some hope with Cleveland, just a little bit of hope with Cleveland.
Didn't they just lose tonight, or am I tripping? They just lost to Detroit?
They just lost to Detroit. They just lost to Detroit. But part of me just has a little sprinkle of just not being all the way out on them. But I think Philly can beat a lot of teams in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it to myself. Joel Embiid is looking more and more Joel Embiid each game. I'm just smiling. I don't know what to tell you. I'm just smiling. Since that Lakers game, which apparently was the end of his career, he's averaging 29. The minutes are going up. He's played 30 or more minutes in 8 straight games. He played damn near 40 minutes in the game that went to overtime. He had 34 in that game. He's played 3 games in 5 nights. He just played against the Knicks team. That's a good team. Had 26, 10, and 5 on good efficiency. He's getting to the free throw line like Joel Embiid does. Now, I will say, I don't know why he's missing so many free throws. It's pissing me off. Joel Embiid, make your free throws. But he's moving better. Confidence looks to be gradually climbing in terms of his defensive motor, aggression. Couple times I watched him switched out on the perimeter. Now, did he get beat? Absolutely. But he's moving his feet. Couple times I watched him get a chase down block. No, it didn't count. I think it was a foul. But he jumped. He went for it. Got his first dunk of the season against the Knicks. Good work. A week after trying to throw a self lob off the glass against the Nets. The confidence seems to be growing. And if he's feeling confident in his knee, and we get a Joel Embiid that's beginning to round into shape, round into form, it's beginning to look scary. He's also been more deliberate on the glass. Offensive rebounding against Memphis in that overtime game. He had like 5, 6 offensive rebounds. Scary times, I will say, scary times. You get that Joel Embiid because he's still commanding that attention. You watched the Knicks game last night. He was commanding that attention. Double teams loading up to him. I'm intrigued. But anyway, we will see. We will see. But let's talk about VJ because he's on the Sixers and we are talking about the Sixers. The last couple games from VJ have been nothing short of amazing. This starts from the first time they saw the Knicks and he had Jalen Brunson in hell. Like, there's no other way to slice it. He had Jalen Brunson in hell. I believe he also scored like 20 in that game. He had a couple back. The OKC game doesn't count. Because it's OKC. So this is what he's done in the past 2 weeks or so. Against Indiana, 22, 4 and 5. Followed that up against the Hawks of 26, 6 and 2. Then against the Knicks, 23, 3 and 4. Once again, locking up Jalen Brunson, especially in that second half. Then followed up against Dallas with 26, 6 and 4. Bulls game, 10 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. Not a great game, 0 for 5 from 3. We're going to skip OKC. Doesn't count. Then the Memphis game, 25, 6 and 4. 23, 5 and 2 with 4 steals against the Mavs again. And then last night against the Knicks with 26, 2, 4, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. All the while, the 3-point shot is a lot better than I expected. He's shooting 38% from 3 on the season. You're seeing the athleticism, you're seeing the motor, you're seeing all of those things. He's averaging 16 on the season. And I think what makes this so impressive to me is he's doing this while being so raw. Like, you can see, like, there's so much room to grow, and he's already this important to the Sixers, this impactful. And all I can think about is, what if he doesn't pick up his dribble so early on drives? What if he does have deceleration in his game on his drives? What if he is and you see the play he did to fake out Mikel late in the game? What if he just adds that more consistently? Because like he's so impactful already with such a I'm not hating, with such a limited skill set, but he's maximizing that. So like if he's able to add just the patience and the poise to leverage his finishing ability, because right now a lot of drives are out of control. If he's able to fill out his frame, play with more pace and poise, we're looking at one of the most dangerous downhill players in the league. Once he can refine his handle, he's shooting pull-up threes with confidence. The sky is the limit. He's only 20. The sky truly is the limit, and I think that's what's very exciting about him. I do think the Sixers made the right pick with him at 3, and I think he's going to be a very good player for a very long time.
Yeah, coming in, it's just like the Sixers definitely needed like some defense and athleticism, especially next to Maxey. And I think VJ is really like capitalizing off of that. Like you said, against Brunson, being able to like absorb contact the way that he did, not being able to foul, just guarding on the perimeter and moving his feet well. Yeah, I think you said it. I think you said it well with VJ. I think he's really good for this Philadelphia 76ers team. And they were right for picking VJ because there was multiple people trying to pick Ace. I think VJ was the better pick and the better prospect at the time. But yeah, I think VJ has been really good for Philly.
Yeah, there's one more player I want to talk about before we get up out of here, unless there's anyone you want to talk about. And he's been polarizing for whatever reason. I seen a graphic that showed like rookie points leaders and their true shooting, and he was near the bottom. Some people are saying he's a bust. Dylan Harper to me is really good. I must be missing something. Maybe I only watch the good games. Maybe the bad games, my eyes are closed. I don't know. But
I had no clue you were going to Dylan Harper there, because I just thought like I had no clue you were going to Dylan Harper there. No clue.
Yeah, it's some of the things I've been seeing. There was a stat that showed like the worst defenders in the league this year. Dylan Harper was on it. There's no way you're telling me he's one of the 10 worst defenders in the NBA.
Yeah, I think he's actually been pretty good.
I think he's actually, for a rookie guards, he's been good. For an NBA guards, slight negative. But like slight negative. And then like offensively, there are flaws. He's not a good shooter, period. Whether that's in the mid-range, from the free throw line, from 3. His intermediate game leaves a lot to be desired. He doesn't really have counters in the mid-range right now that he can really get to reliably. Teams are going to concede his 3-point shot. All of that stuff is true. So I'm not saying he's perfect. But what I am saying is, to me, there's no way you can watch him play and tell me he's not good. Like,
at all. Like, that's what's so crazy to me.
That's what you can't tell me. The driving ability is amazing. The counters on his drives, his ability to play off of 2 feet and stay balanced and find ways to get to the rim whenever he wants. All of that stuff just screams all-star potential. The feel for the game being so high, some of the passing reads he's able to make, the decision-making in traffic, all of that stuff just screams high potential. Now, do I think he can reach that potential without adding an intermediate game, without becoming a more consistent shooter? No. Am I saying right now Dylan Harper is an all-star caliber player? No. When I said Dylan Harper is the best rookie in his class a month ago, did I jump the gun? Yes. But do I still think his potential is through the roof? Yes. He's really, really good. I think the Spurs are better when he's on the floor. I don't think that's a coincidence. I also want to check that just in case I just lied to you guys. But I'm pretty sure they're better with him on the floor. He's really talented, but he's also not perfect. And a player having flaws is quite frankly nothing new. So yeah, marginal, but I'm a run with it. +7 with Dylan Harper on the court, +4 without him. The Spurs are better with him on the floor. There you go. Spreadsheet FC. Yeah. But yeah, I don't see all the criticism. People acting like he's gonna be a bust. People acting like he's a trash NBA player. We must be watching a different person because I'm not seeing what they're seeing at all, not even close to it. So yeah, that's all I really had to get off my chest.
Yeah, I think with Dylan Harper, like we saw the downhill game in college, and in college he wasn't a great shooter. Like he wasn't great in college, but it's like we see like upside there as a shooter. Or at least I did with his form and just how he got to his shots and how he was able to get within the teeth of the defense. And he's carried that right over to the NBA, whether that's deceleration or his footwork. There was a really good move he had against OKC, I believe, on Christmas, where it was just like a spin move against Chet where he got to the rim, finishing around the rim and all those things as well. And then on defense, I think he's been really good, like on the ball, being able to get deflections and all those things as well. So I didn't know you were about to bring up Dylan Harper. I just thought he's been really good this year. And the best part about it is he doesn't have to start in these high leverage moments, or he doesn't have to start game to game for the San Antonio Spurs. He can just come off the bench. He can just come off the bench, learn from De'Aaron Fox. I think I apologized to De'Aaron Fox already. I'm just glad that's out the way. But I think Dylan Harper has been really good this year. I think he's been really good this year. Obviously, still a rookie. Like, I don't think you should come in being like, oh, yeah, this guy's supposed to be this, and that. But I still think he's been really good this year, and he's shown signs of being an all-NBA caliber guard like I thought he would be, like being able to get to the rim. The defense being as good as it has been for him, I think was surprising. The finishing around the rim, things of that nature. I think he's been really good. I think he's shown you, like, what you would have wanted to see from the second pick in the draft going on to a team that's now the number 2 or number 3 seed in the Western Conference. So it's like you're not gonna get as much from him. Like now, if he was on the Wizards and they just let him run, like yeah, you would see a numbers boost, you would see all those type of things. But it's just like he's coming off the bench right now for a team that just found out they can win this year. So it's like just be patient. Just be patient with Dylan, but I think he's shown the signs.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I did say that was going to be the last player, but then I remembered I have to talk about Demon Zach Edey. I know he's been hurt. Zach Edey this season was producing like an all-star. Now, was he going to make an all-star game? No. Was he averaging 25 and 12? No. But he was, quite frankly, one of the most impactful players in the NBA when he was playing this year. He played 11 games. He averaged 13 and 11. 63% from the field, 78% from the line. He was, I want to say, bar none, and I mean that when I say bar none, the best rim protector in the league when he was playing. And I'm going to emphasize that again. Bar none. So you know what that means. Bar none, the best rim protector in the league when he was playing. For anyone who wants some numbers, some statistical data, I guess, with Zach Edey on the court this year, the Memphis Grizzlies had a +17.5 net rating. This is the same Memphis team that is 15 and 19. So for anyone wondering, them having a +17.5 net rating is huge. When Zach Edey is off the court this year, those same Memphis Grizzlies have a -6.2 net rating. All of that impact is felt on defense, where you can see with Zach Edey on the court, they had a 97 defensive rating. With Zach Edey off the court, they have a 120 defensive rating. The biggest reason for that is because it puts Jaren Jackson back at his natural position of the 4. You have a true rim protector and rebounder out there next to him, and you then end up having the best rim protecting tandem in the NBA. With Zach Edey, with Jaren Jackson help sides, Zach Edey cleaning up the glass, him becoming one of the best screen setters in all of basketball, has been huge for them. His ability to create for his teammates with those screens. If you consider screening playmaking, then Zach Edey's an amazing playmaker. He was also just a better screener than last year. Last year, he was a really big body, but he would often hold his screens for a little bit too long. Wasn't great at flipping his screens. This year, he improved at that a lot. Mobility was better. He also was better at commanding his own space in the paint, getting to his hook shot more comfortably. So seeing a lot of the things he did at Purdue in terms of the offensive game, which has been huge for them. Also, just keeping the ball high instead of bringing it down low and getting stripped, which was a big weakness of him last year. Improved on that this year. And then for anyone asking for, I guess, proof of my statement of bar none, Zach Edey was the best rim protector in the league when he was playing. Obviously, knowing that Victor Wembanyama is the player that people would refer to. Wemby is holding opponents 9.5% below expected at the rim this year, which is an elite rate. If you want to compare that to other players, for example, Rudy Gobert is actually at negative 15%, which is an amazing rate, all-time rate. Donovan Clingan, I believe, was at 10%, negative 10%. If you want to look at a guy like Chet Holmgren, negative 14%. These are the elite rates that demon rim protectors are putting out. These are the best of the best. And also you got guys like Nikola Jokic, where guys are shooting 2% better at the rim. But neither here nor there. Zach Edey was holding opponents 21% below expected at the rim. 21%. Now, to put that into perspective, teams average about 65% at the rim. That means Zach Edey is holding opponents defensively at the rim below 45%. That is quite literally one of the best rim protectors in the sport. There's absolutely no question about it. Nothing can be questioned about it. Not to mention his frame does deter a bunch of people at the rim. I believe if you want to look at a place like B-Ball Index, he would actually rank very highly in rim deterrence. I'm actually going to check it. But if he doesn't, I'm going to stay quiet. But I'm fairly confident he will. But yeah, Zach Edey in his 11 games before the ankle injury was quite frankly one of the best rim protectors in the sport. Should have been like all defensive caliber, we'll say. Zach Edey, A+ rim deterrence per B-Ball Index. So one of the best deterrents in the league, the best rim protector in the league, amazing rebounder on both sides of the ball, one of the best screen setters, really efficient scorer in terms of his post-ups and hook shots. There was no complaints about Zach Edey. Anyone who believed in Zach Edey translating to the NBA, this is probably how it would have looked. And I would argue he's been better defensively than even they would have expected. He's been amazing. So shout out to Zach Edey. Hopefully he can come back and maintain that impact because he was producing all-star level impact in the games in which he played. I just had to talk about Zach Edey because I had to. He's been great. Anything you want to say about Zach Edey and whatever? You are muted, but yeah.
I was really low on Edey coming into the draft. I mean, just like any I wouldn't say uncoordinated, but like kind of clumsy 7'2" guy that would like coming into the league. But yeah, he's definitely proved me wrong. And ever since then, I've like grown higher on Zach Edey, I've just really tried to value big men, like traditional big men more in the modern NBA. Guys that can play drop coverage, protect the rim, rebound, and set a good screen. Like that's like something that should not be undervalued in basketball. You can set a good screen, you can rebound, you can play some good drop coverage, you can protect the rim. You're going to have a job in the NBA. So that's something I've changed my stance on, especially after the more I've been on like the internet and stuff and just watching basketball way more than I have in the past years. That's definitely a stance I've changed on. But Zach Edey has been really good. Fighting for position under the rim, being able to seal around the rim to the level that he does, finishing around the rim. Those things have been really good. So shout out to Zach Edey, man, because Memphis needed some life when he came in. They needed some life badly because it wasn't looking great.
Yeah, also with 4 offensive rebounds a game, which I feel is very important. And I think the 4 offensive rebounds undersells him because that's heavily dragged down by the game in which he only played 5 minutes against Denver. So I'm just going to let you know, this is game by game, skipping the Denver game where he had none in 5 minutes. 2 offensive rebounds, 5, 2, 7, 5, 6, 6, 4, 1, 5. quite literally one of the best offensive rebounders in the sport too. Like anywhere in which a traditional big can provide value, Zach Edey was doing it. Just amazing season for him, obviously coming back from the injury and then before he went down again. Hopefully he can stay healthy anyway. That's that. That brings us to the end. John D, as always, where can the people find you?
You guys can find me over at the Buzzer Sports, where we do college basketball content, draft content, reaction videos, NBA content, all those type of things, all things basketball all the time. Been thinking about getting into NFL, but it won't be till next season because I need an off season to revamp my takes, but that's okay. Yeah, all things basketball, all things college basketball, NBA basketball, draft content, reactions, everything you want over at the Buzzer Sports.
As always, the link to John D's channel will be in the description. You can find me here, find me on the panel. So here on Sundays, the panel Monday through Friday, all that good stuff. I'm thinking about starting something new, but I don't know. It's in the thinking process right now, we'll say. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. But until next week, Merry Christmas and goodbye, Dad. There we go.